Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. David Hayes. Today, I want to talk about something that might surprise you. If you want to be healthy, one simple rule is this: don't eat anything that didn't exist 100 years ago. Now, I know the big food corporations probably wouldn't like me saying that, but after years of seeing patients with diabetes, heart disease, and strokes, I can tell you something very clearly. Many of these conditions are largely preventable. And yet, despite all the advances in medicine, these diseases are becoming more common every single year. When you really start looking at the patterns and asking what changed over the last century, you begin to notice something concerning. Our environment has changed dramatically, especially the food available to us. And unfortunately, profits have often been prioritized over public health. There is actually an ingredient hiding in many modern foods that did not exist in the food supply 100 years ago. The strange thing is that most people don't even realize they are consuming it. It's not labeled as sugar. You can't taste it. But it can spike your blood sugar even faster than regular table sugar. If you've already tried cutting out sugar, but your blood glucose still seems unstable, this ingredient might be the reason. So what exactly are we talking about? We're talking about industrial refined starches, ingredients like maltodextrin, cornstarch, and modified food starch. These are not natural whole foods like potatoes, oats, or rice. These are heavily processed ingredients created during food manufacturing, and they are everywhere. You'll find them in protein bars, meal replacement shakes, sauces, salad dressings, low-fat yogurts, supplements, and even protein powders. The reason many people never notice them is because they are hiding in plain sight on ingredient lists. And more importantly, they don't show up the way you expect on nutrition labels. Most people scan labels looking for sugar. They check carbohydrates and look for the line that says "of which sugars." If it says 0 grams of sugar, they feel confident they've made a healthy choice. But that same product may contain maltodextrin, and your body responds to maltodextrin almost exactly like sugar, sometimes even worse. The structure of food labels creates a blind spot. Carbohydrates are listed as a total amount, and sugars appear as a subsection. But refined starches like maltodextrin fall under carbohydrates, not sugars, even though inside your bloodstream they behave very similarly to sugar. So a product labeled sugar-free may still cause a massive spike in blood glucose. And here's what actually happens in your body. When you consume maltodextrin, it is broken down extremely quickly into glucose. Your blood sugar rises rapidly. Your pancreas responds by releasing insulin to manage that spike. And metabologically, your body reacts almost exactly as if you had eaten pure sugar. In fact, maltodextrin often has a glycemic index even higher than table sugar. The key point here is simple. Sugar-free does not mean glucose-free. Starch itself is simply long chains of glucose molecules. When you eat starch, your body breaks those chains down to release glucose. How quickly that happens depends on the structure of the food and the presence of fiber. But industrial processing dramatically changes that structure. Fiber is removed, the natural cellular structure is broken apart, and what used to be a slow-digesting carbohydrate becomes something that enters your bloodstream almost instantly. What you end up with is a flood of glucose entering your blood at a speed your body was never designed to handle repeatedly. The pancreas releases large amounts of insulin, and this is the same hormonal cascade triggered by eating sweets or sugary drinks. The body doesn't care what the label says. It doesn't matter whether the glucose came from candy or from a protein bar containing maltodextrin. The metabolic consequences are the same: a sharp blood sugar spike followed by a surge of insulin, and then an energy crash as glucose levels fall again. What makes this especially concerning is that these refined starches are often found in foods marketed as healthy. Many people buy protein bars or meal replacement shakes thinking they're making a smart nutritional choice. They check the sugar content. It looks low, but maltodextrin is often one of the top ingredients. Food manufacturers use these ingredients for practical reasons. They are cheap, they improve texture and taste, and they extend shelf life. From a business standpoint, they make perfect sense. But from a metabolic health perspective, they can be a disaster. People believe they are making healthy choices while unknowingly consuming ingredients that drive the very metabolic problems they are trying to avoid. Now, it's very important to draw a clear distinction here. Not all carbohydrates are the problem. Whole food starches such as potatoes, oats, lentils, beans, and whole grains behave very differently. These foods contain fiber. They have intact cellular structure. They digest slowly and release glucose gradually. That's why a bowl of oatmeal can keep you full and energized for hours. But a processed snack containing maltodextrin may give you a quick burst of energy, followed by a crash. The difference isn't the carbohydrate itself. The difference is the processing. Processing changes everything. If this only caused temporary energy fluctuations, it might not be a big deal. But the real problem occurs when blood sugar spikes happen repeatedly over months and years. Every time blood sugar rises, insulin is released. Insulin helps move glucose from the bloodstream into cells. But when insulin levels remain high constantly, the cells begin to respond less effectively. This condition is called insulin resistance. It is the underlying driver behind type 2 diabetes, obesity, fatty liver disease, and many other metabolic disorders. Insulin is also a storage hormone. When insulin levels are elevated, the body shifts into storage mode. Fat burning becomes extremely difficult. So if someone is frequently consuming processed foods, snack bars, or shakes containing refined starches, insulin levels may stay elevated for much of the day. This pattern slowly pushes the body toward metabolic dysfunction. And this is something doctors see constantly in clinical practice. Many patients develop metabolic diseases even though they believe they were eating healthy foods. They avoided obvious sugar, but hidden refined starches quietly sabotage their health. So, what can you do about this? First, start reading ingredient lists carefully, not just the sugar content. Look for ingredients like maltodextrin, modified food starch, and corn syrup. These are warning signs. Second, prioritize whole foods whenever possible. If you need a snack, choose something simple like nuts, fruit, cheese, or whole food carbohydrates like oats or sweet potatoes. If you occasionally eat a protein bar, treat it as a convenience food, not a health food. Third, when you eat carbohydrates, combine them with protein, fiber, and healthy fats. This slows digestion and prevents rapid blood sugar spikes. For example, a baked potato with tuna and vegetables creates a completely different metabolic response than a processed muffin made from refined flour and industrial starches. So here is the key message from today's discussion. This isn't about eliminating carbohydrates. It's about understanding how processing changes the way our bodies respond to food. The food industry has become very skilled at producing foods that appear healthy on paper, but behave very differently inside the body. Maltodextrin and refined starches are just one example of this hidden problem. If you take one lesson away from this video, let it be this. Whole foods, fiber, protein, and healthy fats help protect your metabolism. But highly processed ingredients designed for convenience and profit often do the opposite. I'm Dr. David Hayes. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next health video.